Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back with another video from 6, and today we are checking out the high IQ of Sasuke versus Deidara. Now, this was, it's very much taken as a very clever fight. A lot of things happen in it, a lot of things happen, and especially the little clever move at the end where Sasuke just summons the snake to just take the bomb. Like, boom, it's like, okay, just constantly like, what's happening next? So yeah, let's get into this. But before we do, make sure you check out my Etsy shop. T-shirts and hoodies that I've designed are there to be purchased. And if you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, link in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month for the last to help support the channel.
Sasuke vs. Deidara is viewed as one of the most high battle IQ fights in the entire franchise. Sasuke breaking down Deidara's ninjutsu and forcing him to adapt, and Deidara adapting very well even up until the very end, makes for the back and forth of a shinobi fight that most
he has that thing on his eye as well, doesn't he?
Come to expect.
Am I right that Deidara has that thing on his eye as well that helps like negate like genjutsus as well and stuff? Is that what it did? Is that what it did?
When seeing two high-level shinobi do battle. This video is going to spawn a series of videos I've been wanting to do for a while now, where I break down the fights of Naruto. This fight in particular has my attention because not only is it an example of high-level combat, people typically say the end of this fight is full of plot armor or Sasuke BS'd his way out of a certain death. I'm going to go over the fight as it happened in the manga since it's the way Kishimoto wrote and intended for the fight to go. I will say the anime does a fairly good job adapting this fight with pretty clean animation. The soundtrack is extremely on point and it's pretty accurate to the manga, although not 100% obviously. Before we get started with the video, I'd like to ask you to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel since they help the channel out a lot and I'd really appreciate it. This fight has a small amount of build-up and mystery to it where both combatants are not necessarily even after one another. We know Sasuke is after Itachi and actively pursuing that goal when Deidara runs into him, but Deidara on the other hand, we don't even know who he is going to attack until he attacks Sasuke. He tells the Akatsuki that he has 3 targets. One is Nine Tails or Naruto for the beating he put on Deidara. 2 is Kakashi for taking his right arm. And the last one is Sasuke for
because he did the whole Kamui thing right at the start, shipped into him. So cool.
Denying him his revenge on Orochimaru, who he swore to kill. Before the attack on Sasuke begins in chapter 355, we get these 2 pages of 2 ominous figures looking over both Naruto and Sasuke. We'd come to learn that one of them was Kabuto, which isn't really important, but the first page is just Toby trolling Sasuke.
I mean, we did need to see this so we'd understand later that, you know, Kabuto didn't just get this out of nowhere. He was working on it and building up, you know, the Orochimaru cells and the Sage Mode now.
Then the next page is Deidara dropping 2 clay bombs on Sasuke, to which it's revealed he avoided them by summoning a snake. Let's keep that in mind. Sasuke's opening move in the fight is avoiding Deidara's bomb by summoning a snake.
So, you know, why can't he do that again?
Deidara starts talking to Sasuke and Sasuke responds by attempting to blitz and assault him. I think it's really important to note that Sasuke managed to close like half the distance between him and Deidara before Deidara is able to react and jump out of the way, possibly indicating that Sasuke, if just a bit closer, could have just taken Deidara out here. It is noted by Toby that Sasuke is using teleportation jutsu or body flicker, so it's not as if this is just the speed he moves at all the time. This is more so indicating that Sasuke went all out to try and take Deidara down with first strike.
Straight away,
Toby also supports the earlier claim of Sasuke maybe being able to take Deidara out at a closer range by saying that Sasuke's body flicker makes him too fast for the both of them. This will be important later on, just put a pin in it for now. Deidara starts by sizing Sasuke up with a bunch of C1 blasts, which Sasuke easily and effortlessly dismisses.
No problem.
He then attempts to attack Deidara from behind, which if not for Toby's announcement, Deidara probably wouldn't have noticed. But being fair, it's also Toby's fault that he looked away from Sasuke in the first place and gave Sasuke this opportunity. Deidara's response here is a C1 bomb, which doesn't save him from being hit by Sasuke, but it does make the cut too shallow to do any meaningful damage. But both Sasuke and Deidara leave the blast virtually unharmed, and
so Deidara was quite clever in doing that to reduce damage that he was going to take.
Deidara is thankful that he kept the blast at a C1 level, indicating that C2 probably would have done some meaningful damage to him. He then says Toby was right, Sasuke is too quick and he's going to start using C2. This statement might be easy to dismiss as Deidara trying to mislead Sasuke, which I'd agree with if all this wasn't being said in his head, indicating that this is his genuine thoughts as opposed to some battle tactic.
Yeah, instead of thinking out loud, I mean, it's a thought bubble in it. Yeah.
Deidara's C2 dragon is huge, and
massive.
he has
So
a plan
cool.
with Toby
So
to
cool.
plant landmines, which goes into effect immediately. The landmines all look like C1, so it's safe to assume that's the type of bomb they are. I think it's worth pointing out that Sasuke, who was effortlessly dealing with Deidara before, calls this new dragon a bother, indicating Deidara is doing the right thing by making this move, which will become apparent later on.
Strategic.
Deidara launches another bomb at Sasuke, and this one lands, not because of speed. Sasuke would have dodged it successfully, as you can see here on the panel. Is the fact that it was a guided missile that caught him off guard. Sasuke, trying to launch an attack on Deidara's flying dragon, fails and gives up the max range of his Chidori, which is 5 meters.
So he's keeping that in mind as well, and he's thinking about it. So out loud, he's like, boom, 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 and then he's like, aha, I now know his distance.
Which Deidara takes note of and puts Sasuke at a greater disadvantage. Deidara launches a more powerful guided missile, or as he puts it, the one that has more bite, which Sasuke successfully dodges, and Deidara complements his speed, but he was relying on it as it pushes Sasuke into one of the landmines Toby had placed before, which Sasuke is also able to avoid by flying up, which we don't get to see on panel, but it's what Deidara said happened, I guess. Deidara then tells Sasuke the point of C2 is the coordinated attacks from the sky and the landmines on the ground. The immediate follow-up question to this for me was, how on earth did Deidara ever plan to do this alone? If Toby isn't around, can C2 just never be at full power? Because this is very specific, and it's something really only Toby could accomplish, since he can slip through the ground with Kamui, of course. There's no way Sasori would be able to do this or anything, so I really wonder if C2 requires a partner to be able to use, or maybe Deidara can make the bombs bury themselves into the ground by...
Yeah, because some of like the dragons flying around, and you got the little bird things. Maybe potentially like a slower way of it is that they have legs and they dig themselves into the ground,
turning them into a different animal. Sasuke then begins to understand the situation he's in. Not only has he limited my movement with the mines below and the missiles above, but he's also making sure to hover just beyond my maximum attack radius. Deidara starts launching his biggest bomb yet at Sasuke, and as Sasuke tries to fly, Deidara, not wanting Sasuke to get airborne, detonates the bomb early, but the huge explosion still knocks off one of Sasuke's wings. Sasuke's sword is stuck in the ground, and he tries to hit Deidara with some wired shuriken he rigged up, which Deidara avoids and launches another bomb at Sasuke, who gets up and jumps on his sword as a footholder, and then Deidara reveals Sasuke deliberately placed his sword there to make sure there was no bomb there, and he has a safe spot to step on as he jumps up and successfully dismembers Deidara's dragon wing.
Oh, ain't that cool? Ain't that cool? That's very cool.
It's then revealed that the shuriken earlier were also nothing but set up. Sasuke used them to lure Deidara into this position. He then hits Deidara with those same giant shuriken, pinning his arms down so he can't make any more clay or explode any currently existing clay, and then sends Deidara flying down into his own landmines. This is the back and forth combat I was talking about in the intro that makes this fight so fun to read or watch. Sasuke had the upper hand. Deidara switched his strategy, got the upper hand, and took one of Sasuke's wings.
Around.
Sasuke adapted and outsmarted Deidara and took his advantage back. Sasuke summoned some snakes in the place of his wings here to latch onto some nearby trees and avoid fall damage, of course. And Deidara manages to pull one of the shuriken out and save himself from the explosions of all the landmines. Deidara then looks at Sasuke's Sharingan and starts to get PTSD about Itachi, and I'm not going to break down this entire interaction as it's extremely simple. Itachi outplayed Deidara literally immediately and just beat him without effort. What is important about this though is that it made Deidara train his left eye to see through Genjutsu, which we'll get to start talking about soon.
There we go. So I was right, so he did do something like that, right? Okay, cool.
Deidara then immediately jumps to using C4 and skips over C3, which may mean he thinks Sasuke is too fast for a C3 explosion, which is just more scaling for Sasuke in this fight. It's also pretty telling that Deidara wouldn't use that jutsu considering his whole art is an explosion philosophy, and C3 is his biggest explosion barring the self-life taking bomb of C0, of course. It just speaks to Sasuke's prowess. The two of them are so far fairly evenly matched, just with Sasuke holding a bit more of an advantage in the fight, especially with that last play he made. So it makes sense Deidara would go as hard as possible for him rather than just using C3. Deidara hypes this C4 up, saying it was supposed to be his trump card against Itachi. The bomb looks like a giant Deidara, and it starts chasing after Sasuke.
So it's a bit goofy.
Deidara sets the bomb off, and to everyone's surprise, there is no explosion. The Deidara breaks apart, and Sasuke even thinks to himself that it was a misfire. Deidara sets the bomb off again, and seemingly birds and lizards just start evaporating, and then Sasuke himself. Aside from the breakdown, when I first watched this in the anime, I really thought Sasuke died here. My brain immediately went to like someone using the jutsu Chiyo used to revive Gaara on Sasuke, because I genuinely thought he was gone for good. Deidara calls C4 his greatest masterpiece, and Toby gives us a breakdown of the jutsu just to exposition dump to the audience, because literally no one is around for him to be talking to. That was the C4 Carrara, super teeny nano-sized explosives. From the rupturing of the Giganto Deidara, the blast wave scattered them far and wide. The mini bombs then implant themselves within the bodies of any and all creatures that inhale them, and when they explode, the multiple cellular level explosions destroyed their victims from inside out. A fearsome jutsu indeed.
Yeah, it is. That's
Deidara
very
says
fearsome.
he's got to remember to thank Itachi while flashing his genjutsu resistant eye, clearly trying to lure Sasuke out because he saw through the genjutsu he cast by loudly declaring his victory and seeming off guard. After piercing Deidara's chest, Sasuke seems to think he's just low on chakra, which in turn lowered his reaction time. He tells us how he saw through Deidara's C4, which was by seeing the giant chakra cloud caused by the tons of cellular bombs in the sky, which he was able to do because of his Sharingan. Sasuke also tells Deidara that the version of him that exploded was nothing but his genjutsu. It's then shown to us that Deidara had seen through this genjutsu completely, and he substituted for a clay clone,
I saw that as
since
well,
he
but then the next
fought
time,
with Itachi that day, he had trained his left eye to nullify the Sharingan, and his plan is now to launch a direct C4 at Sasuke's feet. Sasuke keeps looking at the bombs, and then he looks at his own bloodstream. Deidara thinks Sasuke is out of chakra. He thinks Sasuke doesn't even have enough to free himself. Sasuke proves him wrong, breaks out with Ichidori, and then rushes at Deidara, who isn't worried because of the distance, and he sets off the explosives again as they both fall to the forest. We see Deidara first, of course, and then nothing but a disintegrating snake for Sasuke, and Deidara once again thinks he won. We
constantly like, ha ha, I thought, oh no, okay, I thought, oh no, oh no. Guy can't get a break.
You see these Sharingan appear behind his back again, and Sasuke just punches Deidara in the face. Sasuke then just monologues about how he basically was never really losing the fight and only just figuring Deidara out. He says that he noticed Deidara was using the signs for Doton or Earth Release Jutsu, and that Deidara should have weaved the signs out of his line of sight, because no matter how fast he did it, the Sharingan can see what sign he's weaving. He also went on about how earlier he noticed that the bombs he pierced with his Chidori Senbon didn't explode. Sasuke also tells us that he didn't throw his sword for a foothold or to see where a mine was. He knew a mine was there and wanted to see if his hypothesis was correct by running a Chidori blade through the bomb. This plan was originally called out by Deidara, so we thought we knew the truth behind it, when really it was nothing but Deidara's interpretation.
Yeah, there's not a lot of fights in Naruto that go this in depth into the steps throughout the fight, are there? Like, yeah, this is very high IQ, Jesus.
But Sasuke tells us the real truth. Sasuke also reveals to Deidara that he had other plans in case the ones he set in motion didn't exactly work, ones that Deidara just hasn't seen yet. Deidara launches an attack at Sasuke that just gets nagged by his lightning jutsu, as Sasuke has been saying. Deidara gets mad at Sasuke for looking too cool, literally, by the way, and then decides it's time to end game. So he charges up his most powerful explosion, the C0, and claims it'll scar the very earth. He also claims that he will become art, and the explosion, to be fair to the guy, is extremely massive. Just eyeballing it, unless you think,
well, isn't it the exact same size as a Biju bomb from like one of the Nine-Tails beasts? Isn't that how it's described?
These are tiny hills down here. It dwarfs mountains, which is pretty insane considering the damages we've seen Biju bombs do, which is just blowing up multiple mountains. Side note, again, this is really cool. Looking at the aftermath though, there's probably isn't dwarfing mountains, but it still was just, a cool thought. We then see Suigetsu pull a scroll off of his hip and spill Sasuke's blood on it, which summons a badly damaged Manda with Sharingan in his eyes. Suigetsu wonders how Sasuke managed to control him, since even Orochimaru had trouble with that, and then he notices the Sharingan and deduces that Sasuke must have just used Genjutsu. To Deidara's credit here,
so it makes sense there as well, yeah.
His blast did kill Manda, which is a pretty nice feat for him, especially considering his struggling with Sasuke. This means he should be able to take out at least 1/10 of Lady Katsuyu, and he should be able to take out Gamabunta. If you're wondering why I said 1/10 of Lady Katsuyu, Tsunade and Sakura never summon all of Katsuyu. They each can summon 1/10, and then when they combine their Byakugo chakra, they can both summon 1/5.
My mistake. Together they summon 1/10. Alone is 1/20. Oh wow, okay.
All together. But they have never summoned all of Katsuyu. So the Katsuyu you see, she's only 1/10 of how big that slug actually is.
Wow,
it's actually much more massive than that and much more powerful. I think a large part about why people think this is such a plot hole or plot armor, quote unquote, is because they put too much stock into a maneuver like this. Sasuke doesn't seem to think this is too advanced, and Suigetsu doesn't seem that surprised. But since Naruto had to, go crazy to summon Gamabunta and whatever, people think Sasuke has to have a lot of chakra to summon Manda, which isn't stated or implied. And in fact, this instance just sort of implies the opposite, that summoning Manda just isn't all that of a demanding task, and the hard part is controlling Manda. Which Sasuke obviously, got over that part by using his Sharingan. It's also fitting that the same way this fight started is the same way Sasuke ended the fight, by summoning a snake to get rid of Deidara's bomb. That's pretty much it.
It's kind of cool actually when you think about that. We get a slight hint as to how Sasuke's gonna survive the end by how he survived the start.
We give my thoughts on it and an overview. The fight overall is extremely high IQ and exactly what a battle between two shinobi of this caliber should be like. This is right before a lot of the battles turned a bit more crazy in the series, which is why I think a lot of people are more drawn to it, even though the fights later on are pretty good also. This is the best glimpse back into part 1 that we have gotten in a really long time, and it also features people who we have already come to know as impressive. Deidara successfully defeated Gaara, evaded Kakashi and Naruto, and escaped from all of Team Kakashi and Guy. Sasuke beat Orochimaru, albeit while he was weakened. He also scared Kabuto, beat all of Team Yamato, and successfully subdued Jugo and Suigetsu while being called the reincarnation of Kimimaru. Another impressive guy, at least in Jugo's eyes. But that's pretty much all for the video. If you liked it, please leave a like on it and subscribe, and have a nice day.
Yeah, very, very cool fight, man. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna reread the Naruto manga. I've already said that before. I've got so much to do. Sorry, I literally just woke up. First thing I'm doing is this before going to work. But yeah, very cool fight, very interesting. It'd be really cool to see Six analyze and go through other interesting fights throughout the series. I'd like him to touch upon some part 1, not just Shippuden. Shippuden's where he got cool in it and everyone's more powerful than that, but I'd like him to do some part 1 fights as well. But yeah, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video, upload link in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is our last support channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that. Thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, leave comments down below. Let me know that you're watching, discuss some future videos. I'll see you guys next time.